in potential profit is not ideal at all. But this is the story of what happened to us just a couple days ago. So let me fill you guys in how not to lose $100,000 in potential profit for your business. So we have two deals that we've been working on. I'm going to tell you about the first deal. The first deal has been a deal that has been going on for a very, very long time. It's a deal out of Aurora, Illinois, a suburb away from where I live, about 30 minutes. And it was a deal where we were supposed to buy a pre foreclosure from a family. There was a husband, wife, and 4 kids. And we've been dealing with this for months now. And the reason we've been dealing for months now is because they kept on changing their mind. Initially, they wanted to stay, then they were okay with moving, and then at the end, they flipped it around on us and said, "We're not going anywhere. We're not moving. We're gonna go ahead and stay." So here's how we went ahead and structured the deal. So the way I structured the deal was we were going to purchase the property for a certain amount of money and give them a certain money back at closing. I guess I call this a foreclosure Morby method. And if you guys don't know what a Morby method is, you can go on my Instagram, creative_Mike, or my YouTube channels, and I give you a full explanation on that. So we were very close to closing. We were supposed to not only get a property, but we were supposed to save a family. This family, we were going to rent out the property to, give them money at close, and let them pay us rent for as long as they wanted to live there so they wouldn't lose their home. Now, unfortunately, there was an auction that was coming up, and it was coming up really, really fast. And we were working with the lenders, which was PNC Bank, to order a payoff. It's crazy to tell you this, but PNC Bank was taking 21 days to get us an updated payoff. That is an enormous amount of time to receive a one-pager telling me how much we owe you to pay you off. Shame on you, PNC Bank, for taking 21 days to get updated payoffs to your customers. It is unacceptable, and whatever you're doing is not working and it's hurting people. So I am not a big fan of PNC at the moment because of how long it's taken them to get a payoff for us. So we end up getting everything clear to close. We get our funding on our end to purchase the property. Appraisal came in great. Everything's fine. Everybody's happy. The wife's happy. Husband's happy. Husband works like 16 hours a day. They have like 4 kids. I personally felt good about myself because I was doing a good deed, right? But remember, no good deed goes unpunished. Then that is to say, and quite honestly, I am a true believer in that. So guys, be very careful when you're doing something good for somebody else, especially when they're in a bad situation, because eventually you might get punished for that good deed. And so you always want to protect yourself with the right paperwork and with the right everything. Make sure your attorney looks everything over because you really want to tread carefully, especially when you're doing foreclosures. So with us, we weren't doing anything wrong. We were not only letting them stay in the property, but we were paying off all their liens, and we were giving them cash at close, and their family didn't have to get foreclosed on. And so a few days ago, we have a closing. We have a notary being sent out over to the home where the wife signs. Everything's great. Then the husband, he works like 16 hours a day. And with the husband, we went ahead and send the notary out to his job, and he was supposed to sign at his job. But apparently, for some reason, the notary and the husband, he couldn't come outside to sign the paperwork, or the notary couldn't come inside the the factory where he works at, and he never signed. And then apparently, he gets a phone call saying that his wife is in the ER. So he rushes to the ER. This is a day before the actual auction, guys. So we had to get this done really quickly. We had everything lined up. Apparently, he rushes to the AR, no call, no show, went MIA, didn't call anybody back, didn't do anything. So he didn't sign paperwork that day. And without two signatures, our title company wasn't able to fund. So I signed over here, the wife signed, the husband didn't sign. I get a call the next day from my attorney. He's like, "Hey, Mike, how did that signing go? Did everybody sign?" I said, "We all signed besides the husband." He's like, "Didn't they know there was an auction today?" I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "But I thought we had some more. I thought they knew they were gonna extend it." He's like, "No, no, we were supposed to sign yesterday. That's what we told the lender, and that's why they gave us an extra few days." And so what had happened was at 9 a.m. in the morning, the house went to auction, and somebody bought the property from the auction. And so that, my friends, is not only how this family lost their home, now they're going to be getting evicted by the new investor that purchased their property. So you have to really, even if you want to help somebody so badly, and you want to be there for them, going above and beyond to making sure that they get to stay there and their family gets to stay there. Sometimes it's just really not worth it. We put so much work and effort into this. We actually bended our own rules because I don't recommend for anybody to ever allow anyone that's going through foreclosure to stay in the property, because most of the time it doesn't work out. What makes you think that if they're going through foreclosure, not paying the bank, they can pay you? In this case, they were making money. Husband was working like 16 hours a day. They just fell behind, couldn't catch up. And we had a heart. We wanted them to stay. But this is what they did to us. So I don't know if the ER story is true or not, because we never heard from them ever again. But now they're foreclosed on. Credit's ruined. Foreclosure on credit. Um, Eviction is going to start happening pretty soon. So it's not an ideal situation. On that property alone, we lost about $56,000 in one day. So here we had another closing a day before, um, and this one's a special one too. This one is in Winchester, Virginia. We had a seller that is 80 years old, very attached to his home. He was an ostrich. He kept on keeping his head in the sand the whole entire time. And we were trying to get to him and let him know, hey, listen, like, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming here. We can help you with this. And so we eventually signed a contract with him to list this property on the MLS and find a buyer for the property. The whole entire time, this man is getting scammed by some kind of scammers. He thinks he's getting a boatload of money from somewhere. Most likely, he's getting scammed by one of those internet trolls that send you emails letting you know that there's money here, there's money there if you give him money. He didn't really want to say where he's getting his money from, where he's getting this money from, but he kept on telling us, "Oh no, I'm going to get this money. I'm going to get this money. You guys won't have to buy this house from me." Now, obviously, in my heart, I know it's not true. He's not going to get $80,000 out of thin air. That's how much it was to reinstate his loan. So he's going to lose his property. Luckily, we have a great team that was able to stop the auction. we had a buyer lined up, and we were an escrow was a cash buyer, and we ended up being an escrow about 30 days later. I went ahead and had the entire place cleaned out for him, moved all his furniture into a storage room. This invoice alone, first they wanted $18,000 for all this because they wanted to store it in their storage facility. And that was like an extra $8,000 in charges because they had a lot of stuff. We're like, no, put in a regular storage facility. We'll pay for the storage. So we'll end up going down to about $8,000. Still $8,000 for moving. It's quite a bit of money. And so we were the ones that are going to be paying for it, and he was going to reimburse us at closing. So we end up going to close. So we end up going to escrow. Buyer puts his earnest money deposit down. We always control title. In this situation, we allowed the realtor to talk us into the buyer having their own title company, which was an attorney on their side for escrow, and we were using our title company, which we use all the time. And one thing I'll tell you guys this is, if you're not controlling title, you're not in control of nothing. You're not in control of anything. So if you're doing any sort of deals where you're doing an ovation, a double close, any sort of creative deals, Morby methods, if you don't control title, you're gonna get it's not gonna work out. It's just not. You know, you might be lucky, it might work out, but most of the time it won't work out. And so then we had this attorney on the other side that was just horrible. I knew he didn't know how to do creative innovations. He told us he wouldn't do innovation, so he said that's fine. We won't do innovation. We'll do a double close. And he's like, okay, that's fine. We'll do a double close. You know, you guys first show us that you guys have the money. Usually, guys, the way it works is the buyer, the B2C buyer, they wire the money into the title's escrow account, which was to the attorney's account. This attorney and the agent directed the buyer not to wire the funds over into their own escrow account, which is very strange. I've never had this happen before. You're wiring money into a person that you've chosen yourself to hire into their escrow account, not our escrow account. In order for us to fund, we need to know that your money's wired in the escrow account so you can't back out, right? So they were very adamant about us wiring money into our escrow account, which was about $330,000, for them to wire $400,000 into their attorney's escrow account. And so we're at this stalemate. We're going back and forth. So we ended up wiring the money into our escrow account. Then they said, no, this is not enough for us. We need you guys to fund this deal and give us a clear title. We're like, wait a minute. If we fund the deal, what guarantee do we have that your buyer is not going to back out of the deal? And then we own a property we don't want to own. And so we're going back and forth. So we actually decided to actually record but not fund, to show them that, hey, this is recorded. We're very serious about this. Money's in there. What are you guys doing? And they came back to us saying, no, you guys have to go ahead and actually disperse the funds. At this point, I am getting extremely upset because our money is sitting tied up in escrow, recorded already. And then these people are playing games with us. They knew that there was an auction coming up the following day. And so they just, the attorney said, oh, I tried to give them and be creative. I'm like, you know what? If you guys don't want to buy this property from us with a double close, why don't you just buy it directly from the seller? Buy it from the seller, and we'll just have our fee on there as a consultant's fee. They're like, you know what? This is getting a little complicated. We'll buy it at the auction tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, okay. You want to play this game? I'll play this game with you. So knowing that, I went ahead. We called up our very good team member where she stops auctions for us. We called our attorney and we're like, call the bank, let them know we need to postpone the auction. So fortunately, we called the bank. The bank postponed the auction. This buyer had the audacity to go to the auction the next day to try to buy this property. Come to find out, the property wasn't at auction. And so they come back to us. I said, so I figure this. I'm like, how do I save this deal? So I called my attorney, John. I said, John, I got this problem I'm running into. These people, they're playing games and they just don't want to wire their own money into the escrow account. So John's like, all right, let me call them. Let me see what's going on. So John calls the attorney, and this is something that I would encourage you guys to do. Don't talk to the attorney. Always have an attorney talk to another attorney. They just speak the same language. They're going to look down upon you because you don't have a law license. And so just have an attorney talk to the attorney, pay whatever money you got to pay. It's worth it. So John talks to this attorney. He thinks that they're in agreement because now he understands. He knows the buyer is not going to be able to buy this property at auction. And he's like, you know what? They're going to talk to the buyer to see what can happen if they want to move forward, since they understand more of the transaction now. We get an email saying basically, saying, oh, you know what? Buyer's no longer interested in buying this property. They found another property. Okay, this is how crazy this is. So this whole entire time, this buyer, he was just playing games because he's an investor. So he's just playing games with us. And one lesson that I'm going to learn from this, and I'm going to take this all the way, is I will never, ever, ever allow, I don't care what kind of offer it is, if the buyer wants to use their own title company, they will not. It's stipulated in our contract that our preferred title company, and if they don't want to abide by the conditions, they can go find themselves another house. There is no law. Don't never let anybody tell you this. There is no law in the United States, regardless if the buyer is paying closing costs or not, for the buyer to be able to use their own title or escrow company. Because if you put on the contract that seller wants to use this title company, this preferred title company, then those are your terms and conditions. You are the seller. You dictate the terms. Make sure you control title at all times. If you don't control title, you have nothing. So lesson learned. Fortunately, that was about a $50,000 lesson as well, that we learned. So 100 grand, poof, in a period of 24 hours, gone, just like that in profit. Not only that, we still got to pay the moving company. Luckily, we have the funds to do so, right? But some of you, one mistake like that could destroy your entire business. So now we have a seller that is sitting in a hotel right now that we've paid for. We've paid for the moving company. And now I went ahead and I'm getting our own funds. So I'm getting a hard money lender to purchase this property and relist it. So no longer any more buyers. We're getting hard money. We're already approved, and we're going to relist this property. So many lessons learned here. Number one, never ever will I allow anybody to stay in the property or want to stay in the property because I'm going to get burned by it. And maybe this was a blessing in disguise that this happened, because what if they just stopped paying me rent? And here in Illinois, you're talking about 6 to 8 month eviction process, and try to evict somebody that knows how to play the game and go to court, and they have kids, and the judge is looking at them like they have kids. You bought this house from them from foreclosure. Even though we didn't take advantage of anybody, remember, the judges in Illinois will always go towards the tenants versus the landlords. We're a blue state. It is what it is. So tread carefully when you're buying anything in Illinois as a rental property, because some people are professionals at this and they know how to play the game. Regarding the other deal, same deal. I will never ever let anybody else control title. If there's no deal, there's no deal. That's fine. I don't care. If you're gonna, there's no reason for the seller to control title. If it's about fees, just credit the fees. If it's $1,000 difference, credit the $1,000. It will save you a ton of headache, and it will make your transaction go that much smoother. So that is the story, how we lost $100,000 in profit in one day. It's a little microphone here. So yeah, that's kind of what happened. And I want to share this with you because it could happen to you, it could happen to somebody that you know. And so you really have to be careful. You have to be careful on how you approach this matter and how you approach these situations, especially with people in foreclosure. You have to be very, very careful with everything, guys. I'm telling you, work with the right team. If you're working by yourself and this is your first rodeo, don't do it. Joint venture. Don't do it. It's not worth it. You know, there's a lot of money to be made, but there's also a lot of money to be lost if you don't know what you're doing. And so I take this as a great learning experience. I take this as, you know, if my gut tells me something, regardless of the money or not, if my gut tells me something about that something's wrong, and the risk versus the reward isn't there, just move on. There's plenty of deals out there. Don't get yourself into one bad deal that can ruin you. Luckily, we're not losing money. It's just profit that we lost, right? But as a company, we do have expenses, right? We have a team. We have people to pay. We have our systems. We have everything else. We have our VAs. And so it costs money to run companies. And when you lose that much money, you know, in a period of 24 hours, it does set you back a little bit. But luckily we have a good system, a good lead flow, and we have a lot more opportunities where we're going to close on, and we're going to be blessed with. So, and we're going to be able to bless other people, save them from foreclosure. You can't save somebody that doesn't want saving. You remember that. You can push, you can pry, you can do everything you want. If they don't want saving, you're not going to save them, regardless. Some people have pride. They rather just let the house go to auction and that's it. They're going to sit there to the last minute and just basically just sit there and know that, and knowingly know that this house is going to auction the next day, and they have somebody there that's willing to help them, and they're not going to do anything about it. So we do make sure we follow up with people to the last minute, but some people you just can't help it. It is what it is. Move on, get more leads, you know, brush it off, and be resilient. You know, in this business you have to be resilient. This business is not for everybody. It's not for the faint of heart. We go through so many issues and problems and trials and tribulations every single day. It makes us stronger, it makes us better, but it also puts us sometimes in a bad state of mind. Like why did this happen? What could I have done differently? What's the lesson learned here? And there's just so many things. There's just so many moving parts that you just don't know. So anything that you can take away from this is honestly joint venture. You know, even though I'm doing this, as you can see, I made mistakes, right? I went against my rules about allowing the seller to choose their escrow company. This will never happen again, and I will not let anybody stay in any property unless they're so sure that they want to stay in this property, and they some sort of thing happened to them where they got a really good corporate job, they're back on their feet, whatever the case may be. But it has to be such a solid thing that in order for me to change my mind moving forward, like it has to be super solid. I have to have so many protections behind it because I'm not going to do that ever again. So I want to let you guys know that there's there's a lot to learn, and you're going to learn every single day. But if you want to speed up your learning, you want to take the express train, just join venture with somebody, do like 3 to 5 deals, see all that we do and all that it takes to make things happen, because it's not an easy road. I'll never say it's easy. There's a lot to it, and you need a good team behind you. And if you guys are looking for anything along the lines of any sort of double closes or transactional lending or DSCR loans, or if you're looking for ground up construction and you don't have good connections, please feel free to reach out to me. I will connect you with the right people that will take care of you. It took me many years to find these people, and I will just send them over to you because I want to make sure everybody wins. And in the end, if you want to joint venture with me, that's great too. But one of the companies I use for all my transactional lending is creativefunds.com. So that's with a K, creativefunds.com. They still haven't steered me wrong. So I ended up being a partner with them, and so we use them for all of our transactions, and they're fantastic. So with that being said, guys, my name's Michael Molisco, also known as Creative Mike. And with that, stay creative, my friends. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day.